I'm stopping at the Mendham Garden Center today on Route 31 in Annandale. I'm having a lot of trouble with my lawn due to the very extreme temperatures and lack of water that we've had this summer in New Jersey. So I'm stopping in to see what I can do about regenerating my lawn.
Well, Ruth, thank you very much for coming in today to investigate what to do with your lawn. I'd like to take a little time and explain, the different steps in trying to revive your lawn. Like yours and so many others, it's been a tough summer on them. Okay,
It sure has.
All right, so the first thing I want to talk about, though, lawns naturally go into a dormant stage. And when there's lack of moisture like this, that's what it's done. Not all your grass is dead, though, okay? And moisture is going to tell us when it starts falling again, moisture is going to revive some of that good, strong grass. So you probably have more that is alive than dead at this point. But you are going to have some dead patches.
So I'm really going to have to wait until I have natural moisture before I can even start the process.
Yes, unless you've got areas in the lawn that are just plain dirt. You know nothing's going to revive in those areas. And you're okay to seed at this point and you can get them back because it'll just sit there until moisture comes back in the soil and then it'll germinate. So let's go through some steps though. One thing, there's some things you can do ahead of time to be ready for this time of moisture to come back in. The first and most important thing is understanding the soil and the nutrients that it has or doesn't have in it, all right, to give you a good lawn. What we want to do is take some soil samples of your lawn. And that is simply done. We'll give you this sheet of paper here that will explain how to take soil samples in your lawn. It's just simply, it's just a matter of going around to a few different spots, collecting samples, and mix them all into one bag, and then shake the bag all up, and then we can test that soil as a whole turf instead of just sections.
Okay, but if I also have some garden areas I'm concerned about my soil, should I take separate samples in my garden areas?
Yes, do keep the garden separate from the lawn because they could use different nutrients. Okay, so do that. Now, what we've learned is we want to know exactly what you need in your soil so that we're selling you just the products you need to develop this turf. We don't want to just broad stroke this anymore because of a lot of concerns environmentally. But if we put down the right nutrients, the lawn will use it, and there is no additional excess material going down that we don't need, or the plant won't use. So, by taking this soil sample, what we'll do then is we'll charge you, it's $12 a sample. That gets sent out to a lab. The lab then will give us a report, all right, that tells us exactly the nutrients that you are lacking or above in, and also tells us the makeup of your soil of organics that are in it. Organics are a very important part of soil. We can't stress enough that people with their lawns, the soil is everything. The better we have soil, the better results the plants will grow. Now, what we've learned with this sampling too, though, is it comes back, and to a lot of people, it's Greek. And that's where we come in. We read these, and then we start developing a lawn plan for your soil, your turf. What we've also learned is to focus on the nutrient that is the most problematic in your soil. By working on correcting it first, the other ones will then take another stage as far as where they line in the soil nutrient chart.
So how often should we be doing soil samples?
Great question. What we're going to do it before you start, so that we'll do it before you start, so that we have a starting point. And then if we do it annually, once a year, for at least for the first couple of years, to see our progress.
Okay.
All right, so that'll help. Now, what the importance of this is, like I said, if we have good, sturdy grass, it's going to be able to endure the times of stress that we're having. Okay? Now, some people don't want to go to this extent, not as big of a deal, and we can just do a pH test. pH is the number one thing in correcting soil to keep corrected, because if it's too acidic or alkaline, then the nutrients can't be released to the plant the way it should be.
And the pH test, I would just use lime though to correct that?
Right. It depends on if you're acidic, you're going to use lime. They've also gotten to the point that it's important to understand whether it's dolomitic or calcitic lime. It tells us where that lime's being derived from, whether we're going to get magnesium or whether we're going to get calcium, all right, a higher percentage of that lime. Lime corrects the acidity. If we are alkaline, we're going to use a sulfate to acidify the soil. Some people have gone the other direction. In our area, though, where we live here in northern New Jersey, we're mostly on the acidic side.
Okay.
Now, you can also go out, and if you don't live around our area, which you do, but we're doing this now for people that are going to see this online, they can, through a garden center, pick up, if the garden center doesn't do it, they can pick up soil kits, so they can test their own soil to see where these nutrients lie. It's not as accurate as a lab testing, but at least it's a starting point, and then you can follow it through.
Okay. So I understand you have an online store.
Right. You can buy these products are on our online store. That's at www.shopmendhamgardencenter.com.
Great. So,
Or you can go just to our regular website at mendhamgardencenter.com. Okay, so we basically have gotten the soil analysis, and we're going to be checking for your pH in your ground. Okay. From that point, now what we're going to do, we're going to move on to, we got the test back, and now we're going to move on and it's going to talk about fertilization. So let's go over to our area of fertilizer, and we'll talk a little bit about it. Do you have any questions at this point?
no, but you've made it sound so much less complicated than I thought it was going to.
It's the thing with gardening, it's not an exact science. Not one thing works for everybody. It's a matter of starting point, and working it through. Okay?
Sounds good.
Let's go over to the fertilizer.
Thank you.